the recon vessel Trivon's Echo slid silently into the dark side of Earth's orbit, cloaked in a thin shimmer of adaptive light-bending panels. To the untrained human eye, it was nothing more than a speck in the stars. But to Commander Zelf of the Alari Observer Corps, it was a front-row seat to a backward planet's slow crawl toward technological extinction. He'd read the archive reports. Humanity Class C, primitive, resource-dependent, infighting species. Estimated time to space weaponization, 300 years minimum. Perfect, just enough time for Alari interests to stake their claim and begin quiet extraction of Earth's rare minerals without even asking. He floated across the control deck and addressed the ship's AI Vera. Run full spectrum scan on planetary emissions. Let's confirm if they're still choking on fossil fuels. Confirmed, Commander, Vera replied. Majority of transport systems, combustion-based, urban centers emit excess heat signatures. Industrial tech, inefficient. Energy, grids, fragmented. Zelthar gave a dry chuckle. Like watching toddlers play with fire. The Alari had watched many young species rise, stumble, and burn out before making it to the galactic stage. Earth wasn't unique except for the chaos it seemed to thrive on. Politics, war, pollution. No central planet-wide government. No orbital defenses worth noting. Their space stations were practically tin cans. Still, protocol demanded observation. Zoom in on that installation. Northern continent. Coastal. He tapped a rotating model of the globe. Massive energy spikes detected in that region for 2 Earth rotations now. The screen focused in a sprawling desert facility dotted with hangars, antennas, and a massive linear structure buried into the terrain. Zelthor squinted. Is that a mass driver? Vera hesitated. It matches the basic architecture, but readings show no payloads launched. Instead, periodic magnetic pulses extremely high energy are being tested at suborbital angles. Zelthor's grin faded. Magnetic pulses at that power level. Correct, Commander. Pattern consistent with experimental railgun testing. Silence fell over the bridge. That can't be right, he muttered. They don't have the metallurgy or energy control. Railgun theory hasn't even passed simulation for most mid-tier species, Vera replied with the clinical coldness only an AI could deliver, and yet, they've built one. It appears operational. Zelthor slowly walked to the viewing pane, looking down at the blue and green planet that was supposed to be centuries behind. Are we sure this is the right Earth? Vera chimed again. Further anomaly detected. An asteroid designation TX-401 was redirected artificially 6 lunar cycles ago. Trajectory suggests intentional movement into test range. Surface markings consistent with high-velocity impact. Zelthor stared. They're testing it. On space rocks. He quickly tapped his communicator. Log this under Class A technological discrepancy. Immediate flag for the Council. Initiate silent surveillance. No contact, no interference. But it was too late for that. Far below, the installation's tracking systems pinged. One of the human operators frowned at his console. Sir, I'm getting weird returns. Something in low orbit. Doesn't match any satellite ID. His supervisor leaned in. Could be debris. The technician zoomed in. No sir, it's holding position. It's watching us. The 2 men stared at each other. Then the supervisor quietly said, Wake the general. General Samantha crossstrode into the underground command center beneath the Nevada desert facility with the calm intensity of someone who'd seen too much in too few years. Talk to me, she said, eyes sharp as she approached the control panel. A young analyst, Rodriguez, pointed to a screen. We picked up something in low orbit, ma'am, not one of ours. Not Russian, Chinese, or even commercial. No heat signature. No standard M emissions. Cross frowned. A stealth satellite. Rodriguez hesitated. That's the thing. It's moving, correcting position, tracking us, like it's watching. She narrowed her eyes. Have we pinged it? Only passively. We didn't want to spook it. Cross turned to the ops team. Run the deep scan. Full spectrum. And bring up the last railgun test data. A second screen came alive, displaying a time-lapse of a tungsten slug being loaded into the long barrel of the magnetokinetic launcher project, Thor. It showed the burst of magnetic acceleration, the slug leaving the atmosphere at Mach 10, and then hours later, camera footage from a small asteroid shattering into fragments on impact. Jesus, whispered one of the new engineers. We moved a mountain. From Earth. Cross nodded slowly, and someone noticed. She looked, again, at the object in orbit. It wasn't just observing, it was recording. Meanwhile, in low orbit, XEL Tar stood still, his secondary heart thudding harder than regulation allowed. Vera's voice remained unshaken. Commander, the humans are reacting. Power levels have spiked. Deep scan initiated. They've detected us, Zelthor muttered. They appear cautious, not aggressive, Vera said. Yet their energy readings are escalating. Recommend retreat. Zelthor didn't respond. His mind was running faster than his training allowed. A functioning railgun. High-precision targeting. They tracked us. They haven't even joined the galactic network. He leaned on the console. You're telling me that a species still using gasoline just tagged a cloaked Alari recon vessel? Vera responded, yes, Commander. Their technology appears to have taken a non-linear path. Crude in some areas. Incredibly advanced in others. Like building a stone house with a nuclear basement, he murmured. Alari scientists had dismissed Earth's potential for centuries. Unstable biology, tribal politics, wildly unregulated information networks. The only thing Earth was good at was conflict, and somehow they'd turned that into innovation. Zelthor pulled up footage of previous test logs. There it was again, a blur of metal, then a distant asteroid exploding into chunks. The energy output shouldn't be possible, not with fission? Unless they cracked rail propulsion early, he whispered. Skipped plasma stages. Maybe even skipped antimatter development entirely. Vera's voice gained a sliver of concern. This data violates all predictive models. Commander, I advise silence. Begin quantum relay. Send everything to the Central Galactic Council. Title it, Humanity Has Built the Impossible. He stared out at Earth. Its cities glittered below like bioluminescent scars. Loud and dirty, but behind it, something dangerous pulsed. This wasn't just a primitive world anymore. It was a wildcard. Back on Earth. Cross watched the object on screen shift slightly. They're adjusting orbit, Rodriguez said. Still watching, but definitely not debris. She made her decision. Initiate protocol Black Sky. Lockdown, Project THOR. Prepare drone surveillance for near-orbit intercept, and inform Washington. Rodriguez looked up. What should we tell them? Cross stared hard at the screen. Tell them we're not alone. And someone just got a front row seat to our secret. The moon had always been seen by the galaxy as a useless rock, tidally locked, gray, and barren. But to humanity, it was the perfect blind spot. Commander Zelthor's vessel, still cloaked and holding geostationary orbit over Earth, began slowly drifting toward the far side of the moon. His decision wasn't strategic, it was instinct. Observation protocol demanded patience, but something about Earth didn't sit right. Vera, he said, eyes fixed on the lunar surface, pull archival scans of Earth's moon. Highlight any artificial heat signatures. Processing, the AI replied. Scanning for thermal anomalies. Anomalous structure detected Sector 12 lunar far side. Coordinates locked. Subsurface magnetic shielding. Consistent with a concealed base, Zelthor blinked. That's impossible. No Terran agency has claimed deep moon development. Not publicly, not even the Terran military. Confirmed, Vera said. Base is dark, cold, shielded, but residual thermal imprint reveals recent activity, weapons-grade power signature detected. Zelthor felt a chill. Are you telling me Earth militarized the moon? Vera's tone sharpened. I am telling you, Commander. They armed it. Back on Earth. General Cross stood in front of a satellite uplink, screen showing a single image. It was grainy, faint, but unmistakable. A gun buried into the lunar regolith. Deep Watch Station Charlie 7 picked it up during a sun glint window, said Colonel Janus, pointing to the image. No visual confirmation, but the energy profile matches Thor's coil signatures scaled up by a factor of 10. Cross crossed her arms. That thing could fire halfway across the solar system. Long-range defense, Janus said. Or first strike. The room fell silent. No one wanted to admit the truth. Project Thor wasn't the only secret Earth was hiding. This thing's not just a weapon, Cross said finally. It's a message. We've seen what's out there, and we're not going to wait for permission. Rodriguez leaned in. Ma'am, if that orbital observer is alien and it saw Thor fire, it might interpret the moon gun as an escalation. Cross gave him a cold look. Good, in lunar orbit, XEL, tar single quotes as ship drifted into a closer pass of the dark side. No visual emissions, no signals, just an eerie stillness. Until, double quotes, Commander. Vera said, I am detecting an active scan from the lunar surface. It's bouncing off our hull. Zelthor spun toward the control panel. What? We're cloaked. Confirmed. And yet, we've been tagged. Targeting system has locked on. They see us. Zelthar's eyes widened. Vera, pull back. Activate defensive shielding. Go evasive, now. The ship jolted as thrusters fired. Silent panic rose in his chest. Not even class of civilizations could see through Alari cloaking, but Earth had, and worse, they didn't attack. They were waiting. They're playing with us, he whispered. Like they want us to run. Vera confirmed. No projectile launched. Tracking beam deactivated. Target lost us on retreat. Zelthor sat slowly, feeling the cold metal of his command chair for the first time. Vera, Earth isn't primitive. They're hiding. Back at us, Lunar Command, unacknowledged black site. A voice over a private line crackled into crosses. Earpiece, ma'am, contact report from Lunar Depot. Observer has pulled back. No engagement. She allowed herself a rare smile. Good. Let them wonder. The voice continued. Your orders. Keep the railgun offline. No movement unless fired upon. But if they do, shoot first. She turned to the big screen again. Make sure they know that humanity shoots last. Asterisk, the encrypted signal burst from Earth's upper atmosphere and vanished into deep space, short, compressed, and nearly untraceable. It was meant to be invisible. It wasn't. High above the solar system's outer edge, a listening post belonging to the Varn Collective Galactic, neighbors known for their obsession with monitoring primitive species, caught the transmission. A shrill alarm rang through the spherical relay chamber. Intercepted burst unknown origin. Sol system, a Varn technician buzzed. Encoded military format, non-galactic standard. Compression method, is new, advanced. The supervisor leaned forward. Play it. The audio crackled, then played a simple voice. Test successful. Prototype system exceeded projected yield. Proceeding to live fire. Confirming target. There was a pause. Then the chilling part. Target. Decommissioned satellite in high orbit. Velocity test. Railgun 2. Full power. Silence. The Varn supervisor stiffened. They have a second railgun. The technician's bioluminescent skin dimmed. If this message is real, they're mass-producing them. Meanwhile, aboard the Alari recon vessel, Zelthor had just received the same intercept relayed through a Varn warning beacon. He sat stone still, letting the implications settle. Rail 2, he repeated. How many of these monsters have they built? Vera responded, based on the heat map of industrial-scale magnetic coil signatures, estimates suggest at least 4 known installations. Possibly more hidden. Zelthor's jaw clenched. And no orbital infrastructure. Correct, ground-based. But power yields suggest possible orbital trajectory targeting. He stepped back from the console. Earth didn't just have these weapons, they were testing them, training with them, calibrating them for precision orbital strikes. And the worst part, they weren't bragging. They weren't sending threats. They were staying quiet. That made them dangerous. Relay to Central Council again, Zelthar ordered. Upgrade humanities classification to Class B+. Recommend emergency review. Vera complied. Message sent. Zelthor stared out the viewport, this time not with curiosity but with a whisper of fear. These humans, they're building quietly because they expect war. At Earth's Black Sky Command, the test footage played again. A satellite and decades-old shattered like glass in the upper atmosphere. No missile, no rocket, no sound. Just a line of force and a flicker, followed by obliteration. General Cross stood beside 2 men in suits. One wore the pin of the Department of Defense. The other was from NASA. His badge didn't match any known branch. We're ahead, the Dodman said, but not hidden anymore. That thing in orbit. It saw us. Others probably heard the message, too. Cross didn't flinch. We knew that the moment the railgun worked. The NASA rep leaned in. Are we ready to escalate? Cross shook her head. No, we don't want escalation, but we're not going to be caught off guard like the Zeta contact in '88. Both men froze. You're saying that was real? The NASA official asked, voice hushed. Cross only smiled. I'm saying humanity remembers what it sees. And now, we're building what we need to fight back. She turned toward the large screen where the second railgun's performance data, glowed red and hot. Let them intercept our tests. Let them listen. That message wasn't a leak, it was bait. Across the stars, in a sealed chamber deep within the Galactic Council spire, 9 alien species sat in silence as Zelthor's intercepted report played again. Target: decommissioned satellite. Velocity test. Railgun, 2 full power. The Arxnari representative clicked its mandibles nervously. They've weaponized their entire planet. The Crivery ambassador hissed. We ignored Earth too long. They evolved through war, not peace. Now they're taming physics itself. And in the shadows, a voice, older than the rest, muttered. They're not preparing for first contact. They're preparing for first strike. The observation drone floated silently in Earth's lower orbit, sleek, unarmed, and about the size of a motorcycle. Manufactured by the Zentari Guild, it was designed to be completely invisible to any civilization below Class B. It had been quietly monitoring Earth for 12 Earth days, cloaked in quantum light filters and adaptive camouflage. It recorded railgun test signatures, electromagnetic field pulses, and atmospheric data. Nothing in its design suggested it could be detected, let alone targeted. But then something changed. On Earth, inside a black site facility buried beneath the Aleutian Islands, a small screen blinked red. Unknown anomaly reappeared. Grid Kilo 6, said the technician, pointing to the telemetry. Same coordinates we flagged last week. Minor optical distortion. It's hovering. General, Samantha Cross leaned in. Still passive. Yes, ma'am. No signal, no heat. But it's moving exactly opposite our satellite drift, like it's maintaining position. Cross didn't hesitate. Wake the Aegis Protocol team. Get me Rail Team Alpha. We're going to take the shot. In low orbit, XEL TAR, aboard the Trivon's Echo, received the alert too late. Commander, Vera warned, Zentari drone compromised. Human detection systems engaged. Lock sequence initiated. What? Zelthor barked. That drone was supposed to be invisible. It was, Vera answered. Until now. A pulse erupted from Earth's surface, focused and aimed. Not electromagnetic. Not radar. Something else. VEERA identified it instantly. They're painting the drone with quantum resonance frequency. They're tracking its gravitational signature. Zelthor stood frozen. They can see cloaked vessels. Before he could react, a second pulse fired not from Earth, but from the moon. From the far side of the moon. A pulse laser ignited silently from a buried coil inside Lunar Defense Station VANTA-2. It didn't destroy the drone. It didn't need to. It scrambled its internal memory, wiped its scans, overloaded its observation sensors. The drone spun for one brief second, then went dark. Back at Earth's black sky command. The operator nodded. Direct hit confirmed. No destruction, just neutralization. Its sensors are fried. Cross leaned forward. Send the message. A technician flipped a switch. A directed radio burst fired into orbit, precisely aimed at where the drone had been just moments before. The message was short. No encryption. Next one gets shot down. Across the galaxy, aboard the Zentari fleet ship Varnish, Admiral Krexel nearly crushed the edge of the display table. They fried a Guild observation drone. That's a class of violation. His second in command, a pale amphibious creature, adjusted its vocal cords. They sent a message afterward. A threat. The room went silent. Humans threatened us. Krexel growled. No, the officer replied softly. They warned us. Back on the Alari recon ship. XEL. Tar replayed the intercepted message again and again. Next one gets shot down. Not begged, not pleaded. Warned. These weren't desperate primitives screaming into the void. These were people who knew they were being watched and weren't intimidated. Zelthor sat back in his chair, eyes cold. They're drawing the line. And they're daring the galaxy to cross it. Vera's voice chimed in. Incoming council relay. High priority. Earth's classification upgraded to class operationary. Galactic emergency summit scheduled. Zelthor nodded slowly. Too late, he whispered. The humans aren't trying to join the galaxy. He looked down at the glowing blue world below. They're preparing to survive it. The room fell completely silent when the intercepted message played for the 5th time. Next one gets shot down. Across the secure Pentagon chamber, only one phrase was written on the screen beneath it. Observer compromised. Human action. Confirmed. Secretary of Defense Alan Briggs stared at the gathered officials' military brass. Scientists, intelligence analysts. For decades, they'd all operated under the unspoken agreement that Earth was being watched, but no one had expected this. They didn't just see the drone, he said. They tagged it, fried it, then sent a message back. In open signal range. No encryption. General Samantha Cross, patched in remotely from Black Sky Command, leaned toward the camera. It wasn't a slip, sir, it was bait. And now the galaxy knows we can see them. Briggs turned toward Dr. Lauren Huxley, head of Experimental Defense Technologies. Status on the prototype. She hesitated. We're still in the modeling phase. No field tests yet. If we fire it, we won't get a second chance. Briggs interrupted. They're watching. And now, they're talking. The room tensed. Everyone knew what the prototype was. It wasn't just a railgun, it was something beyond that, Project Zeus. An orbital platform housing the first kinetic orbital rod from God. A 30-foot tungsten dart dropped from space with no explosives, just raw velocity. A weapon so fast it could punch a hole through a mountain. It was never supposed to be used. Do it, Briggs said. Fire the prototype. Pick a dead zone. Let the galaxy see it. In orbit, aboard the recon ship Trevon's Echo, Commander, Vera alerted. One of Earth's orbital objects is changing trajectory. It's not a satellite, it's descending. Zelthor frowned. No engine burn. No guidance system. Negative. Object is falling. No propulsion. Mass, 10 metric tons. Shape, cylindrical composition. Tungsten alloy. Zelthor's breath caught. They're firing a kinetic weapon from orbit. Before he could respond, the feed lit up. In the Pacific Ocean. A deep, uninhabited trench in the South Pacific lit up like a supernova as Zeus struck. There was no explosion, just a shockwave, a wall of water rising miles into the sky. The sea peeled backward. The seabed cracked open. Sensors across the world screamed as the energy rippled through tectonic plates. Back at the Pentagon, the screen blinked with a cold message. ZEUS-1 confirmed impact. Surface disturbance measured. Global seismic reach detected. Across the stars, galactic networks erupted in panic. Emergency council sessions were called. Species who once dismissed Earth as a noisy blue dot now scrambled to update planetary threat models. At the Galactic Council Summit, the Ilari ambassador stood, pale and rattled. They've mastered kinetic orbital impact. No explosives. Just mass and gravity. Primitive minds don't build that. Predators do. The quivery delegate slammed a clawed hand on the table. They dropped a weapon without using energy. That's not warfare. That's a warning. The elder voice that had remained quiet through all 6 sessions finally spoke. They're not proving their strength to us. Everyone turned. They're proving it. To someone else, back on Earth. General Cross watched the after-action report. A massive hole in the Pacific. No casualties. No cities targeted. A pure, undeniable demonstration. Rodriguez whispered. They'll never see us the same again. She nodded. Good, he turned. What if they come now? What if the council sends a response? Cross's voice was steady. Then they'll learn the second part of our warning. Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. Which is? She looked up at the screen. That wasn't our strongest weapon. The Galactic Council chamber vast, floating, ancient sat in stunned silence as the footage played. A tungsten rod, free fall from orbit. A ripple in the ocean that tore the sky apart. Seismic sensors off the charts. A strike with no propulsion, no warning, no emissions, just pure velocity. The video ended with Earth's primitive voice. Sent out in open band radio. This was a test, not a threat, but the next one won't land in water. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the council erupted. Their propulsion level is still pre-warp, shouted the Vicari representative, his scales bristling. They shouldn't have the materials science to stabilize a strike that size. They've never asked for membership, hissed the Arxnari ambassador. They've never acknowledged galactic existence, yet they built a Tira planetary defense network in isolation. How? From the shadows, the Ilari delegate ambassador Telroth stood slowly, face pale. We underestimated them. Every species does. They evolve in chaos. They accelerate in conflict. They didn't move linearly through technology. He tapped a claw on the display. They skipped. For entire tech stages. In silence, the elders, ancient and silent for most of the session, stirred at last. A voice like cracking ice echoed, "What drives a world to create such power?" Before even knowing who it might be used against. Meanwhile, in a hidden chamber beneath the Swiss Alps, Project Dawnbringer had never been acknowledged in any military log, civilian database, or satellite record. It wasn't on the moon. It wasn't in orbit. It was buried under Earth itself, deeper than the ocean, shielded from all detection. Inside, a reactor hummed with silent precision. Not nuclear, not fusion, something else. A small team of Earth's most brilliant physicists monitored the hum of the quantum core. Dr. Huxley stepped in, voice grave. "They took the bait. Council has the footage." A technician raised an eyebrow. "They bought it." "Oh, they felt it," Huxley replied. "They think we dropped our trump card. But Dawnbringer is still dormant," she said. For now, aboard the Zentari fleet ship Varnish, near Saturn's orbit, Admiral Krexel had watched the orbital strike 20 times. Each time, his disgust turned to awe. "This is not just raw power," he muttered. "This is strategic intimidation." His aide, nervous, flicked his eyes toward the live stream of the Galactic Council. "They think the humans want war." Krexel shook his head. "No. War is messy. War invites retaliation." He pointed to the freeze frame of the Zeus strike, the ocean still erupting. "This is a performance. The humans want to be watched." His eyes narrowed. "They want everyone to think that's their best shot? But I've seen enough campaigns to know a bluff when I see it." At Galactic Council headquarters, emergency directives were issued. Surveillance teams were ordered to monitor Earth's every move. Trade routes near Seoul were frozen. A classified tech assessment circulated. Among high-tier civilizations, it contained just one line: "Humanity is no longer a developing species. They are an emerging threat." Some argued for war. Others demanded containment. The elders merely whispered what everyone feared: "If this is what they reveal, what are they hiding?" Back on Earth, General Samantha Cross stood before a secure monitor, watching the panicked council debates via intercepted transmission. Rodriguez, standing beside her, asked, "So what now?" She turned, face cold and calm. "Now, we prepare phase 2. Let the stars tremble a little longer." She clicked a secure line. "Activate Dawnbringer." The Galactic Council hadn't called an emergency summit in over 9,000 cycles. Not when the twin suns of Eric IV collapsed. Not when the bioswarm devoured 3 moons in Sector 9. Not even when the Kravari Civil War threatened to spill into 12 systems. But Earth changed everything. From a Class C dirt world to a strategic wildcard in less than 2 galactic months. A world that had never spoken to the Council, never reached out, never even knew the rules and, yet somehow played the game better than those who'd written it. Now, the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy gathered in silence. High Chancellor El Riyad of the Elder Corps floated forward. "We face a species that does not fear power because they've grown up surrounded by their own destruction," she said. "They do not seek peace, they prepare for aftermath." The Crivery slammed, a clawed fist on the table. "We cannot allow Earth to escalate further. We must preemptively neutralize their development." The Arksnari hissed in agreement. "We let them build in secret. If they launch a second Zeus strike or worse." Ambassador Telerath of the Alari stepped forward. "I've studied them, watched them. Earth doesn't need time. They need pressure. The more danger they face, the faster they evolve. You don't stop humans by threatening them." The chamber fell into grim agreement and so, with unanimous vote, the declaration was passed. Galactic emergency designation, Sol3 observation shifts to containment. Contact may escalate to confrontation. Across the stars, fleets repositioned. Covert drones deployed. Plans were drawn up not to invade, but to surround. The galaxy had decided. Earth must be managed. Meanwhile, on Earth. General Samantha Cross stood at the secure elevator deep beneath Colorado. Only 2 people were authorized to enter. She scanned her hand. The doors opened to Dawnbringer. The chamber looked more like a cathedral than a bunker. Arcs of light danced around a pulsing core, suspended in magnetic fields. It wasn't built with public funds. It wasn't even built entirely by humans. Pieces of a crash 1988, unmarked, denied, buried. The tech had been reverse-engineered in shadows. It had taken them decades, but they had done it. Dawnbringer wasn't a weapon. It was a key. Dr. Huxley turned as Cross approached. "You're early." Cross smiled. "You activated it." "Yes, full sync, and the core. It's responding. It wants to open something. Cross folded her arms. And if it does, then Earth's not just a fortress anymore, Huxley said. It's a doorway. The core hummed louder. Symbols from a language no human had spoken shimmered across the floor. Dawnbringer had been waiting. Not for Earth's enemies but for Earth itself to understand what it was. Back in orbit, Xeltar stood at the edge of the observation deck. His recon ship remained in stealth. He had watched the orbital strike, the drone destruction, the silence that followed, but now, a new energy pulsed from Earth's surface. Something deeper than any railgun, more focused than any kinetic rod, Vera whispered. Unknown quantum frequency. Matching ancient records. Zelthor turned slowly. What records? Vera hesitated. Pregalactic. From before the Council. Before the wars. The pulse fired again. Zelthor's eyes widened. Oh no, he breathed. They didn't just build weapons. They found what came before. And on Earth, the stars above shimmered unnaturally. Humanity had never joined the galaxy. It had simply kept climbing. Unaware it had already passed the gate. The Council thought it was calling an emergency, but they were already too late. The end.